My name is Greg Heffley.
Hi, I know who you are, Greg. You're my friend. I've known you for literal years. What do you want?
And I do not like your interest, Rowley, because I think they're cringe and girly.
Yeah, Joshy maybe girly, stereotypically.
Because I'm sexist, misogynistic, homophobic, and transphobic. And I think men should like manly things like video games.
That's also sexist.
And I'm definitely not projecting because I think that I need to work on my own masculinity because of how my father treats me. He wants me to do sports like all the other boys, but me, I want to play video games all day and do nothing.
Are you alright?
Peak masculinity. But you? How are you popular? You like boy bands. Girls like boy bands.
We can go play Twisted Wizard if you want.
Joshy is girly. You're girly. How are you popular? Joshy is girly.
Oh my god! Justin Bieber!
You're insecure.
Anyway, Diary of a Wimpy Ween, translated into Scots. Not the first time I've gotten a book in a different language on accident. Let me read you a little excerpt from this. Wednesday, I'm still grounded for playing video games. So many's been playing my console. My mom bought a load of educational video games, and watching many play them is like having your teeth pulled. Good news is, but I finally sussed out how to get some of my games past Rowley's da. I just popped the disc into Manny's Discovering the Alphabet box, and that's just dancing. It's okay, I've read it before, I've seen the movie. And the movie really showcases how bad Greg is, because in the book you're kind of just like, funny situation, but you see it in real life and you're like, so yeah, Greg Heffley is not the best person. In the first movie, as we all have seen, he's starting off at junior high for the first time, and you know, like every boy, he gets advice from someone who's been to middle school. I've gotten advice from my mama about how middle school works. Anyways, his brother tells him, you know, be careful, don't do this, don't do that, don't do, etc., etc., etc. And on the first day, his best friend Rowley breaks the rules that Roderick set for only Greg. Roderick is messing with him clearly, like, don't do this, don't do that, because, you know, he's an older brother, and, like, these are ridiculous rules. Like, okay, the bathroom one I understand, because boys' bathrooms are disgusting, especially in middle school. And anyway, but some of the rules are really weird. It's just so strange. Rowley like breaks the rules on the first day, and he's like, he's fancy. He's dressed a little fancy. He's a gentleman in his like little poncho, and he's an adorable kid. I won't lie. I commend him for being that brave. Let me tell you, because when I was his age, I would not have done that. And yeah. He is popular though. He is like cool. Somebody will be like, ha, that's stupid, but there's always somebody who's gonna put you down. And you know, he is cool. He has friends and people who like him. But Greg is like, what are you wearing? And he's like, I got it from my vacation. And Greg's like, that's stupid. Like, first off, you don't want to hear about your friend's vacation. You don't want to see how he's been over the past summer. You haven't seen him.
You're stupid. You're tarnishing my reputation, first off.
Like, what is wrong with you? And of course, there are multiple situations where Greg's like, I want to be popular because that's my only priority in life, and there should be other things that should be your priority in life. Like, this is middle school. These are like the formative years of your life that shape who you are. Like, middle school shaped you. Did not like middle school me. He's like, I'm gonna join all these clubs trying to get into the school newspaper and bump my popularity level up, because that's the main goal and we're supposed to root for him. But he does it via like the stupidest methods. He tries the wrestling team, and that doesn't work out well because Patty beats him up. And we get a little flashback to where he's still a bit of an ass as a little kid. We see that this is something that it isn't new to his age or to puberty. This is kind of just how he's been his whole life. And he calls Patty a fatty when she's literally just a little girl. Like, what? He's an ass. Anyway, Greg Heffley, terrible person. He also tries out for the play, and we get like a montage of people singing Total Eclipse of the Heart terribly, and then we get to Greg, and he's like the most beautiful singer out there, but he's like a soprano-ish kind of voice. Unlucky for him, Patty Farrell gets the lead role for Dorothy, but that's just because her parents are rich, and she's also a brat. No, I'm not saying don't have sympathy for Patty, because her and Greg have a weird rivalry, and he hates her, and she hates him, but she hates him for an understandable reason, because he bullied her as a little girl, and he just hates her for what purpose exactly? I don't know. We never see why Greg hates Patty at all. We just see the aftermath now where they just both hate each other and try to sabotage each other. And eventually he decides, oh, it's a good idea to repeat the scene from The Wizard of Oz where we chuck apples at this girl, and like, we don't know how heavy these apples are. They could physically damage her. They like could be like those little wax ones or those little plastic ones. Like, if you throw them hard enough, they could like hurt somebody. And like, they might even be foam, but if you really tried, you could hurt somebody. Greg, he's awful. He's only out for his own personal gain. He doesn't care about anybody else, not even Rowley. He just has Rowley as a friend to make him feel better because he considers Rowley cringe. And I'm like, dude, he spends his entire year eating lunch on the floor next to Fregley. And yes, Fregley is weird, but you don't need to be like, ugh. You need to be like, hey dude, I don't want your jello, or hey dude, I don't want to see that like mole of yours because I'm not interested. And most of the time, these kids with zero sense of boundaries will be like, oh, okay, because if they like you and if they like you, they'll listen. So he just needs to like take a minute and sit back. He is in 6th grade and he has no emotional maturity. He also has the chance to be friends with this one girl who's always under the bleachers during gym. She gives him advice like, hey, popularity isn't all that. And she's kind of like your classic girl next door kind of chick. Hey, you know, she's got the dyed hair. She's got the look going for her, you know? And he could have the opportunity to just hang out with her every day and be her friend. But he's like, no, she's a mega freak. Like, what gave off that impression? She's just a loner. Cause she rejects popularity. She's not like the other girls. Sure, it was the 2010s. She's normal. She's alright. If you talk to her and get a chance to get to know her, you might find you actually enjoy hanging out with her, because she does seem like an interesting chick. So there's also this side plot where they're running away from these older teenagers who they had pissed off during Halloween. Greg and Rowley did. And now they're constantly like paranoid, or at least Greg is. He's like, oh my gosh, that could be their red truck. And so, you know, he actively tries to avoid them. And one thing that they do is that they join like the safety patrol, which is like helping little kids cross the road and get home and all that jazz, which is like, oh sweet, but he has his own selfish gains as well, because he wants the hot chocolate, he wants to seem cool, he wants the orange vest, he wants special privileges, not to help people. Like, Rowley seems like he genuinely wants to be there. Even if his friend roped him in originally, he seems like he genuinely enjoys the job. Like, Rowley is a good kid and I actually like his character. But Greg, the minute he thinks that he sees the guys in the red truck, the teenagers in the red truck who could hurt him, he's like, oh crap, I better get out of there. So he takes all the kids, who, by the way, he's walking in the rain with him, and he puts them in like a manhole, and he hides them, and then some lady's like, what are you doing? That's dangerous. Get them out of there. Who are you? And he's currently wearing Rowley's jacket, so this lady knows Rowley, and she's like, Rowley Jefferson? And he's like, yes, that's me. I'm Rowley. Not anybody else, please. And we're supposed to think, oh my gosh, there's nothing wrong with him? Like, obviously he has some sort of redemption arc where he apologizes to Rowley, but he genuinely hurt Rowley's feelings, hurt his job, tricked him, took advantage of him and the job, just because he didn't want to get beat up. Like, these little kids' priorities is first. You should get them home because it's raining, and if you're about to be attacked by some men that are bigger than you, get out of there. Don't hide them. Or like, ask the neighbor lady who thinks you're Rowley, hey, I think we're in danger, can we hide out in your house for a few minutes? Boom, logic. Think for a second, don't immediately shove kids into a hole. That's not safe. And yeah, Rowley gets fired from the safety patrol, and Greg's like, you want to know something funny? That was me. I did that, actually, by the way. And Rowley, understandably, is like, what is wrong with you? That's like a terrible thing to do. Why would you lie? Why would you tarnish my reputation like that? And Greg's like, 'cause it's funny, right? Ha 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 ha. And Rowley's like, no, it's not funny. What? You took something away from you because you didn't want to take the consequences of your own actions of being a terrible person. Greg ends up telling the safety patrol like leader guy, like, hey, actually it was me who did this. Rowley deserves the job. Obviously still didn't forgive him because, like, understandably, he's being a terrible friend. And I haven't even got to the point where he like was the reason he broke his arm, which I don't remember. I haven't seen the movie in a really long time if that was just in the books or not. But he was the one who broke his arm, and he, you know, obviously all the ladies are swooning over him now because he has an injury, and Greg tries to like recreate that, like, oh, look at my festering wound, but he isn't really cute about it because it's like festering wound and not a broken arm. He wants attention. He doesn't care if he broke his friend's arm. Eventually, he comes clean and he's like, ladies, don't you think it's cute? I'm the one who broke his arm. And they're like, you're a monster. Understandably so, because he is. He's a terrible person. I do not like Greg Heffley. And eventually, Rowley and Greg, they make up. But only after Greg sacrifices something for him, and that's his own dignity. We're still supposed to expect that Greg is going to get better, because in the end, the teenagers that they've been hiding from shows up at the playground. Everybody else runs, but Rowley and Greg, they stay there because, they're being confronted. And so these teenagers eat the cheese, and Greg is like, I'm lactose intolerant actually, and so he gets out of that, but Rowley still ends up eating it. So Greg Heffley is righteously a terrible person because he could have eaten that cheese. He's being bullied, yes, and you have survival instincts, but if you want to make it up to your best friend, eat the cheese so he doesn't have to. Rowley ended up being the one who ate it, and the coach scared the teens away, the junior high coach. But everyone's like, oh my god, where'd the cheese go? And Rowley was like, and then Greg's like, it was me, I ate it. He still had to deal with the fact that it was moldy and disgusting, and oh my gosh, my memory card is full. I'm gonna finish my sentence really quick. Rowley had to deal with the fact that it's moldy and disgusting, and he had to eat it. And Greg Heffley, all he had to do was say, actually I ate it. And he barely had any consequences. Everyone just ran away from him and nobody liked him in the first place, so it didn't really do much. So he didn't really get much out of it because he probably ended up pretending to give it to somebody else later so he could still hang out with other people, and he didn't get any consequences, and Rowley ended up forgiving him for the awful things he put him through. So